Welcome, tennis fans, to the 14th episode of Tennis Traverse, Exploring the Game, the podcast that delves into the heart of the tennis world. I am your host, Ivy J, and in today's episode, I'll be recapping the ATP season and nominating awards to the best ATP players. Also, before I start, I have a really special guest with me. He is one of the people I train with at tennis, and he calls himself Jewkavic. Aaron.
Hello.
Okay, so before we begin, please follow all my social medias, that is Instagram and Twitter, using @TennisTraverse, that is @TennisTraverse. If you're listening on YouTube, comment, like, and subscribe. If you're listening on other streaming platforms, please rate my show, and let's get right into today's episode. Okay, but before I actually start, I just want to say sorry if there's any background noises, because I'm recording at our tennis training place, and there's a lake, so there might be, is that a lake?
Pretty sure that's the Hudson Sound.
Whatever. Shh. It's like a place, and then it's really noisy. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of do awards thing. Okay, we're gonna nominate awards for MVP, Most Improved, Clutch, Fan Favorite, Most Entertaining Player, and then we're each gonna say a name and we're gonna debate. Okay, so I'll start off with MVP. So my MVP is Novak Djokovic. How about yours?
I would agree with that. I would say it's also Djokovic. I don't think there's much explanation needed there. I mean, every Grand Slam final, 3 out of the 4 Grand Slams. He won the ATP finals 3 hours ago. He won probably the best match of the year at Cincinnati. I'd say he's most likely. I mean, I don't see how anyone else could come close to being the MVP for this year besides, maybe Alcaraz, but even that. He didn't make the final of every slam, and he only won 1 slam this year.
Yeah, no, I think Novak is just really steady, and even though sometimes he kind of stumbles a bit, he always manages to come back. For example, this tournament, he played 3 matches for the first group stage, and it was all 3-setters. However, during semifinals and finals, he managed to find his best form again.
He found his best form. He won in straight sets. I mean, the last 2 matches were barely competitions. Besides, there was a stretch at 3-2 in the second set where Alcaraz.
I didn't even watch it.
I'm not a real fan. Where Alcaraz played 3 amazing points in a row to get 2 break points on Djokovic's serve to start to try and come back in the match. But Djokovic saved both of them with really amazing points. He just raised his level when he needed to do it the most, and he did that throughout the whole season, which is why he's the MVP.
Yeah, and I think it's just really impressive considering he's literally 36 and he's
almost 37 at this point, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I know, and he's still fighting, so yeah. Okay, anyways, and now I think we'll have different opinions, maybe? I don't know.
Probably.
Okay, Most Improved, I said Hubert Hurkacz and Jannik Sinner.
I would agree with Sinner. Sinner definitely. This season was arguably one of his best seasons, probably the best. He had his first big title. He beat Medvedev for the first time 3 times in a row. I'm pretty sure 3 times in a row this season he beat Medvedev. He beat Djokovic for the first time. He had a positive head-to-head against Alcaraz. He beat Rune for the first time. He's at his all-time career high. This is the first time he's been number 4 in the world. Arguably, at least for the past month or so, he's been arguably the second best player in the world, I would say. He beat Alcaraz and he beat Medvedev, who were the other 2. Those are the top 4 guys right now. I do disagree with Hurkacz, however. I think Hurkacz had a better, not 2019, I forget the year. There was one year, I think it was after 2019, he beat Federer in a Wimbledon quarterfinal to go to a semifinal, I'm pretty sure. And I think that was his best year. I think he hasn't shown any real big improvements in his ground stroke game, his baseline game. He just has an amazing serve, which, that's great. But I think there are other players who also have big serves who made bigger improvements this year, like Ben Shelton and Chris Eubanks. Both have big serves. They both made really deep runs at slams this year, which Hurkacz, I don't think he got to the quarterfinals of a single slam this year. I could be wrong. But Shelton and Eubanks both made it to the top 100 this year. Shelton in the top 20 for the first time this year. I think those both arguably have much bigger improvements than Hurkacz, respectfully.
Okay, I just want to say you have so many stats because I literally did not prepare, and he has so many notes. But first of all, I chose Hubert Hurkacz and Jannik because I felt like Hubert, well, he did have a lower ranking than Jannik last year, so I didn't really choose Jannik because even though I agree that he improved a lot, the ranking, in terms of ranking, it wasn't a huge difference, even though I agree that his forms are obviously better. But I chose Hubert because I don't know, I just think he's more steady because he's going into more semifinals. Well, I don't think it's at Grand Slams. It's like at other tournaments, and I don't have any examples, but like I'm pretty sure I talked about it in my other episodes.
I would agree with that. I would also like to throw up another honorable mention for most improved, which I'm sure you agree with this, which would be Dimitrov. He had an amazing last half of the season. He was a little bit at the first part of the season, but I mean, he started with a loss to Djokovic in Australian Open, which I mean, any other player on the planet would have lost to him. He played amazing the first major of the year, but I think there was a stat somewhere. I don't have a source on this, so I could be wrong. It said like from the either post Wimbledon or post French Open 2023, he's been like the 9th best player in the world. So he had a great improvement. I'd say this is probably the second best season of his career, besides I think 2017 was his best career because he was number 3 in the world, and I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Okay, you're so knowledgeable. And
Thank you.
I think Grigor, because he played in the final of Paris, he lost to Djokovic, but like it's Djokovic, so
it's
like
Jewkavic.
yeah. Okay, let's move on. Clutch.
I mean, also Novak, I don't think there's much explanation needed there. He played a really intense 3-set battle with Sinner a couple of days ago, and then today, a couple hours ago,
He lost.
he lost to Sinner in the 3-set match.
Okay.
And then he beat Sinner
Okay.
in straight sets today.
Okay.
Not very competitive sets, to be honest. 6-3, 6-3. I mean, there was a match. It just wasn't like a crazy competitive match. I mean, I think probably the best indicator of what was super clutch this year for Djokovic was just the Cincinnati match. That was, in my opinion, the best match of the year. I don't think there was a match that even came close to it this year. One of the best 3-set matches of all time. Djokovic, he comes out swinging. He's doing great in the first set. Gets broken, loses the set, down 4-2. It looked like that was going to be the only match in the whole tournament where Alcaraz won in straight sets. But Djokovic came back. He fought. He played another, I'm pretty sure, hour and a half, 2 hours of tennis at 37 to beat out Alcaraz. And it was just amazing. It was a super clutch performance. And I mean, I don't have all of these because I'm not that knowledgeable, but many other times through the season, I'm pretty sure he came in very clutch. I'm pretty sure the only patch of the season he had that was kind of no bueno was the beginning stretch of the clay court season up until the French Open. He was kind of not so good there.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, very consistent, very mentally tough the whole season.
Yeah, and I feel like he always knows how to improve himself. For example, I'll just say the ATP finals. When he played against Yannick for the first time, he lost. But however, I feel like he played with like a more stable strategy to it. Like he is less willing to take risks. However, I feel like today during the final, he's just more aggressive. Like he hit a lot of, like he tried to go for a lot of winners rather than trying to like kind of hit the high percentage shot. I'm not saying that it's like bad to hit higher percentage shots, but just like depends on who you are playing with. To like, yeah.
I mean, Sinner was super aggressive these past couple of weeks. He was taking everything early. He was hitting his forehand the hardest I've ever seen him hit it. Djokovic tried to be solid the first match, and Sinner just kind of destroyed him like that. I don't want to say destroyed. It was a 3-set match, but Sinner, you know, he used that well. Novak didn't really give him much to work with today.
Yeah. Okay. Fan favorite?
I think that the fan favorite player this year was Rublev. I mean, you go on any social media, everyone loves him. He's very good with all of his interviews, very good with the public. He was just a very beloved player this season on tour. I mean, there aren't many really resources I can pull up to support that claim, but
Yeah, I agree. However, I like his off-court personality better because we talked about this before, like before our podcast, but how like Rublev was banging his knees on the tennis racket and it was like he was bleeding, and I don't think it's like a good example because to be honest, tennis isn't that serious. Like you shouldn't be harming yourself.
Like, you can even if you lose to the same player repeatedly over and over again, like say 14 times, it's just a game, you know. At the end of the day, you can get a little bit mad, but
shut up. Okay, he's really annoying. No, not Rublev. Aaron. Okay,
Thank you.
So I said Carlos because I feel like he's young and I just really like the way he plays, and I feel like he changed the game with his like drop shots. You know?
A lot of players.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen so many more drop shots this year than I've seen like ever. Besides, the only person I think drop shotted that much besides Alcaraz was like Federer, but Federer is just Federer, you know.
Yeah.
He's Federer.
Yeah, and I feel like because he's young, there's obviously he won 2 Grand Slams.
He's won 2. He won U.S. Open
Yeah.
last year and Wimbledon this year.
So there's obviously a lot of pressure built up against him, but I feel like because he's young and less experienced, people expect him to, like, they don't expect him to, they do expect him to win all the time, but they have, like, more of a losing tolerance, if that makes any sense. Like,
Yeah.
he can lose sometimes and people won't, like, get super mad.
Yeah, I mean, what? How many losses did he have this year? Like 6?
Yeah.
7 maybe?
I don't know, but like when he played against Roman Saffolin, like for Paris, he lost like in round 2 because he had a
Round 1.
round 1 bye. No, he had a round 1 bye.
You're right.
Yeah, and then he played in round 2 and he lost, and it was like a straight set loss. But like when I was scrolling through the comments on Instagram,
Everyone was hating on him so much.
yeah.
10 losses, dude. I
Okay.
mean, honestly, not that bad. Didn't he play like 70 matches this season?
Yeah, he had 10 losses this year, which is like really not that bad.
It's not that bad. I mean,
yeah.
he's young. He's not like he's pretty much in his physical prime, but he's not at the mental peak of his abilities yet. Those I don't think. Honestly, I think those are gonna take his mental's gonna take him and then to come together. I mean, he has a very strong mental now, especially for his age. But just he has like these moments where he just lets up. And like I mean, honestly, in Cincinnati, if Alcaraz has been mentally tough, right? I love Novak. He's my favorite. He's the GOAT. But I don't think he would have won the Cincinnati match unless because Alcaraz is up 5-2, 4-2 in the second, and he played a really sloppy service game to give Jewkavic the break back. And I mean, Jewkavic is great. He's physically strong. He was recovering, but I mean, he goes down 5-2 in that set. I just don't think he would have been able to bring himself back together in time.
Yeah.
And that was really just a fault of Alcaraz's mental strength at that time. I mean, he came back together. He wasn't mentally poor the entire game. He still played amazing tennis after that, but it was that one like little thing against a player like Novak who's just so solid the entire time. I mean, he's not quite at that level yet.
And I think it's also because he was playing against Novak, because Novak can always find, like, when you're mentally at your weakness, and he can just, like, hang on to that and, like, destroy you just from, like, a tiny thing. So, and I really hope we can see sometimes, like, someday, like, Carlos Alcaraz in his prime physical and mental state versus Novak.
I think we're definitely going to get that. I mean, I'm hoping we get it before Novak retires, but, I mean, we'll definitely get it at least at one point during his career. I mean, there's no way.
Okay, next, most entertaining player.
You go first this time.
Okay, I think it's Daniil Medvedev. We had this conversation before. He said it's Nick Kyrgios.
Well, this is this year. I said overall. Nick Kyrgios isn't on the tour this year.
Daniil Medvedev's so funny. He's like so funny. Like I saw him and I was like searching up his funny moments, and like I keep on laughing because there's like highlights of him being funny, and it's just super.
He's a funny guy, but I think he's the most entertaining player off the court, and he's pretty entertaining on the court too.
Yeah.
But I would just say most entertaining to watch. Like you're the most like I don't know how to say this properly. In terms of being like not okay, I forgot what we were talking about for a second. So the most entertaining player on the tour, I think this year was Alcaraz. I mean, the tennis he was able to produce this year at his highest level. I mean, winners from everywhere, immaculate drop shots. He was just the most entertaining player to watch this year. Like I was like wowed the most when I watched Alcaraz this year. I was at the U.S. Open. I was at the U.S. Open this year. I got to saw him practice a little bit. Take this out, buddy.
Shush.
But I got to saw him practice a little bit. I mean, even in his practice, he's very intense. He's very he's so passionate about it. You can see on the court. I mean, this season I think he's had a bit of the ending stretch of the season. He's been like less happy on the court.
Yeah.
But like for the beginning of the season, he's smiling at everything. He's hitting winners. He's playing like very. It's not carefree, obviously, because he wants to win, but it almost like seems carefree. It's just very entertaining to watch.
Like I think the most entertaining player, like it depends on how you define it, right? Like if you were saying it's off court, okay, it might even be like Andre, because Andre Rublev is really
he's very funny. He's more sweet than that. I think Medvedev is the funnier guy off court.
Yeah, and however, if it's on court, I definitely agree with Carlos. I think also he like runs, like he can run
He's
to
so
every.
fast.
I know he can run to every single ball, so that obviously.
I think
makes
he's
him.
the second fastest player on tour.
Who's the first?
De Minaur.
Oh yeah, I agree. But like his season.
Hey. He went deep in Australia, decently deep. I think he lost round of 16 when he just got destroyed by Novak. But once again, I mean, this is another thing I don't understand about Novak. I don't understand, like both the Australian Open and the US Open this year. Australian Open, he dropped one set to an unseeded player in the second round, and then he played like the number 3 in the world, I think, at the time. I think Tsitsipas was very high up in the ranking at this time.
Yes.
He was like top 5 in the world. Tsitsipas, and he didn't drop a single set. And U.S. Open, he went to 5 sets against I think it was De Gea, who's unseeded Serbian
Oh
player.
yeah, that was so.
And then he can beat someone like Medvedev in straight sets in the final. It's like,
Yeah, so I feel like that's why he's like obviously our MVP and our clutch player, because he knows how to adjust himself when he's like sometimes having a like tough match, even though it's always like when it's a deciding set and someone's playing against Novak. In my heart, I'm like, okay, Novak's gonna win.
yeah.
because-
Honestly, I think the biggest shock I've like almost ever experienced watching tennis was the Wimbledon final. When I remember I was sitting there with my friends. I was watching the Wimbledon final. I was like, it went to the fifth set. I was like, there's no way Novak loses now. There's just no way.
Yeah.
And then he did, and that was just amazing to watch.
Yeah.
But I mean, this season he won what? He won 82% of tie breaks, 86% of finals, 81% of deciding sets, 73% of his matches after losing the first set, and 96% of his matches after winning the first set. And like 3-set and 5-set matches that went like the longest distance possible this season, he won 63% of those matches.
I mean, this dude has stats, but I don't.
Listen, don't worry about
Okay,
it.
he prepared.
Let's talk about underwhelming players a little bit. I have this to say. I was such a big fan of FAA. I still am. I still think he's a lovely dude.
You told me
he's got a
before,
very nice looking forehand. And as a fan of his, this season was so hard to watch. I mean, I remember like an example of this. I was watching I had the draws for the
Yeah.
French Open that came out.
Yeah.
And I didn't watch any of the first round matches, I think, besides Alcaraz and Novak. Those were the only 2 first round matches I watched. And then, so I went to sleep, and then I got back from school the next day, and I'm like, okay, great, I'm excited to watch FAA play, right? Because there's no way he lost in the first round,
Yeah.
and he lost in the first round.
Ha ha ha. No kidding. It's fine. I mean, yeah, I feel like he's been bothering with like he has some injury, right? So that's
No, he was coming back from an injury this year.
Okay,
I
but
think.
like-
I mean, he had a solid stretch at the end of the season. He beat Rune. He defended his title in Basel, which I did not expect at all. But just for most of the rest of the season, he was just a non-factor.
Yeah, but I feel like also, even though even though Steph qualified for the ATP finals, I don't know what happened to him.
He got injured.
No, Steph Tsitsipas.
Tsitsipas.
He had, Paula Badoza.
Yes.
They are dating.
I'm aware that they're dating.
And I think it's taking a toll on him.
I am, but are you also aware that he is injured? He has an arm injury, which is why he
Well,
pulled out of the ATP finals?
Yes, but
What did
like,
you think? Did you think he pulled out of the ATP finals to go hang out with Badosa?
No, I don't think that. But I think his U.S. Open performance, because everyone
that was tragic. That was so bad.
I know, like, I just think because he's dating someone who's playing tennis, there's like more pressure built up against him, and because his coach is his dad, and sometimes it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I mean, he had a coach this season. He like removed his father
Really?
he removed his father for like 2 weeks and then he put him back.
Okay, yeah, like I feel like he kind of relies on his family to coach him, which I don't think is like a wise decision considering he really didn't have the best year. But
Yeah.
you do.
All I would like to say, saddest season, not like most disappointing, but like the season that was just very sad to me personally was Berrettini. He was starting to find good form again this season.
Yeah.
He made it to I think round of 16 of Wimbledon.
I forgot.
He went to the U.S. Open this year and he just got another horrific injury
Oh
again.
yeah, he like he was like crying.
He was like crying and got rolled off the court in a wheelchair right when he was starting to find good form again. It was just very sad to watch.
And before I stop this episode, I just want to say another thing for the most improved player, which is Alexander Zverev, because
Yes.
he rolled his ankle last year. It was so horrible. He was like screaming.
I honestly think he could have won that French Open.
I know he could. Like he was actually playing such a close match.
He was
with
such a
Rafa.
close match.
I know. And then I felt so bad for him. I don't like him personally, but I felt so bad for him because he was like rolling on court, like crying. And he came back and he did super well, I think.
He did very well this season. He beat Sinner in the U.S. Open. He made it to the ATP Finals where he beat Alcaraz, and he made it to the French Open semis again. I don't think he lost to who? He lost to Michael Mmoh in the Australian Open.
Did he play in Australia? I don't know.
He played in Australia. I'm pretty sure he played in
Okay.
Australia.
But I just want to say that like, if we have like another awards for like the best comeback player, it's gonna be
That would be
him.
Zverev.
Yeah.
I very rarely see players come back from injury and then basically within the same season get back to where they were before. I wish that could have happened to a different player whose name is Dominic Thiem, because that is my favorite. That's my favorite of all time.
That's all he thought.
He would have been the GOAT. He would have been like number one in the world.
Okay, but to be honest, his season's fine. Like
His season is not fine compared to what he was.
Well, compared to compared to last year, his season was fine this year. Stop. He's really sad.
I honestly think he could have won really deep in the U.S. Open this year if he didn't have like the stomach problems, because he was playing a really tight match with Shelton.
Yeah,
in that
yeah,
first
yeah.
set, and then he just retired.
No, I was kind of surprised when he beat Bublik in round 1.
Yeah.
Because I thought Bublik's gonna win, and then Dominic Thiem just like
He
beat
destroyed him.
Yeah, I was like, okay, because I also like Dominic Thiem, but like not.
So he's
as
just a
much as
Dominic
him.
Beam.
Dominic Thiem.
Theme. It's a team.
Really?
Oh my god.
Okay, he's really okay. Dominic Thiem. No, it's not.
It's team. I promise you, it's team.
not. Okay, should I keep this part in?
Team.
Should I keep this part in?
Sure.
Okay, guys, tell us if it's team or theme. I don't know. Okay.
If it was theme, it'd be spelled THEME.
It's THIEM.
Yeah, team.
Theme. Wait. Okay. Anyways, this is so bad. Okay, we're gonna end this episode. Do you have anything else to say?
No.
Okay, we're ending this episode. Please subscribe if you want. This episode's so interesting. Okay, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, like and comment. And if you're watching on other platforms, please rate my show and like.
10 out of 10, guys.
Yes, exactly. And then follow my Instagram and Twitter using @TennisTraverse. And okay, say something.
Do everything she said to do.
Okay. That's all. Thanks. See you guys next week. Bye.
Adios.